I'm working on a project for WRG. Tim Elliott and James Lee have commissioned me to create a sketch, and then from the sketch create a large 2.5 metre globe for the celebration of the 77 million metric tonnes of natural gas for Qatar. Here we are creating a 1.2 metre globe. We've made it in fiberglass, and now we have Kevin here who's actually just checking to make sure it's absolutely spherical. We had to be very precise with the measurements, as we didn't want to get anything wrong. So it was measuring and double measuring everything. We created an axis in order to create the continent lines, and also the vertical and the horizontal and latitude lines throughout the globe. This was very successful, and it gave us a good foundation and working point to start from. Once again, checking throughout the project that everything was right, because the more we can get the measurements right at this stage, the more accurate the globe becomes in the end. Once we have all the latitude and longitude lines marked on there, we start to map out the globe. We started to use a flat map book to first of all, but all the actual dimensions changed, so we decided to go out and get a globe and then copy the longitude and latitude lines from there, and like to mark the continents on. Here we are is adding wires. We wanted a slightly raised surface as we didn't want to lose the markings of the globe, and we thought this would be useful when it comes to actually adding the continent surface treatment. Once all the latitude and longitude lines are placed on the globe, we start to rub it down and fill in the actual lines, so we end up with a kind of relatively smooth squares all over it. We are using plasticine to add to the surface of the globe, and that way we can actually treat it like as if it were planished metal. And we thought this was the best way, as it can give us a tolerance to add it and take it away to our heart's content. We wasn't really sure how long this would take us, but we got cracking and we just made sure it was correct, really. Here I am cutting away the base. We're actually making a base for the globe to stand on, so we're making a pattern first out of formicas and plastics. Here we are putting the finishing touches onto the globe and the polystyrene, and we're double checking and rechecking to make sure we haven't left any countries out, as we're sure it might offend somebody if we left the country, no matter how small. So we actually painstakingly went over the whole map again and again with fresh eyes, the morning after, and the morning after that, and the morning after that. Once we've finished the globe, we spray it up with a primer, and we rub it back to make sure we're not getting any imperfections within the globe surface. Here we are making the mould. Once we've made the mould, we tear out the pattern and weld out the internal with fiberglass, and we want this to be really, really strong, as this is going to be the foundation work to hold all the metal work, and we're pretty sure that people are going to climb on this as well. But 5 layers of fiberglass at 2 ounce build up. Once we've got the globe primered, then we're using a 2K black high gloss finish. We're using black because black shows up every imperfection that you can possibly see. So by having the black, then we're actually working our way backwards, and we know that we're going to get the best result. Once the black has gone off, then we start to wall up the globe, and we're doing it in sections. We're doing it in kind of like segments, like Terry's orange first of all, and we're laying it up in a gel coat and a fiberglass because we need to have the external of the mould. This was a bit of a mistake, so we decided to cut the Terry's orange sections into quarters and then internal eighths on the whole globe. Here we are making the front for the base for the plaque to be fixed to. Once we have the whole base, we actually put a marine ply surface onto the top, because that has to be kept dead flat and dead square, and then we fiberglass the surface itself. Here we have the entire mould now covered, and it's made up in its sections, and this is us just trimming it, and then we drill holes so it can be bolted and unbolted, and then we can take out the master from within. People always underestimate just how long this part of the job takes, so we've included it in the video so you can see all the workings that's gone on. Here we have the mould, and I've just laid up one of the continents within it so you can see how we're going to add the metalwork which relates to the continents, so we know that the continents go in exactly where the wire work should. In each case there's no guesswork, it lines up with our grid work which we initially made. Once we've laid up all the continents, we then wash them and then we grind them back so we end up exactly the forms we want, and then we add them back to the mould, and then we add the metalwork. Here we have the actual globe taken out. It came out beautifully with no problem to the mould at all. Normally the master pattern like this gets discarded as it gets broken up, but this just kind of slipped out of the mould as we triple waxed it, as we didn't want any problems. Once we finished with the mould and the globe, we started to concentrate on the 77 bedrock. Here I am sculpting it from clay with the 77 trademark on the front. Once from there, we use plaster Paris to get a quick waste mould, and then fiberglass format internally. This takes time as we wanted the surface of the texture to look really nice and the front look nice and flat and square. James Lee from WRG came down to have a look at the project as it was progressing, just to keep an eye on it and to make any comments before we actually finished it. Here I am taking the plaster mould from the bedrock clay. Once again, this is a bit of a risk because I've not used any scrim in the plaster at all, so it is a one-hit wonder, and if I make a mess up on this stage then I have to re-sculpt the clay again. Here I am starting to work on the wire work. We're getting the steel, the mild steel, and we're cleaning off and degreasing it first of all before we do anything else, as the grease goes everywhere. We're mounting it on a central column, and we're starting to offer up the 77 individual gas strands to wrap around the globe in a very pleasing manner. Very tricky and time consuming thing to do as the wires want to go everywhere. Although there's only 77 strands, each one does take their own time, and they take about an hour each to set into the actual plug of the metalwork, and then position individually and how we want them to wrap around each continent. Here we are welding each 77 strands onto the core plate, which keeps it lovely strong and straight, and then we're repositioning each wire again to relate to the map itself. Okay, here I am working late into the early hours of the morning. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning now. Working on the globe. We've left an access panel here so we can actually get in to finish the inside of the globe. We've spot welded everything with the TIG welder, and now we're spraying it all over with primer. We've degreased it first, and we're 2K primer it all up. And tomorrow we're going to do any little finishing touches to any little runs and dots we see on it, so we can get it absolutely perfect. Making sure that all the spot welds have got all a good primer on the whole lot.
We're even trying to get the backside of everything we can get, and if we can't get it in by blowing, we'll get in by touching it and filling every bit. Then we're going to give it a black 2K primer in black, and then we're going to go on with the chrome work after that. But the whole look looks quite nice. Freestanding, and this represents all the gas wells, which is 77 in total, which go around the whole globe, and that means the Arabs are feeding the world with gas, basically. Here's a nice stand on the bottom, and we have a symbolic rock which says number 77 on it, which symbolises these 77 strands which run round and up across the globe. Yeah, looking quite nice so far, and hopefully once we do the black and then the chroming, it come out absolutely lovely.
After this, we primer twice the complete metalwork internally and externally, and we check over every single join, and then we actually spray up with the black 2K primer internally first to make sure we hit every bit, and then we add the trapdoor back in, and then we work on the outside. This is a long and laborious part of the job, but we've got to make sure it's right. Once the whole lot has been black 2K'd with the top coat, I then go over with a silver spray. This again, it has to be done with a much finer airbrush to make sure I hit every bit, as the spray has to go on at a very controlled amount really, and it's not just blasted. Once we have this silver, then we go on with the top coat of gold. Here I am just clipping the top of the globe at the 77 strands to give a nice kind of flowing gas effect. Once it's in a packing case, we bolt it to the base to make sure the sculpture doesn't move at all, and then we put some polystyrene wrap around the outside. This is just to keep it all secure while it's in transit. It's going to be flown out to Qatar, so hope it all gets there okay. This is really a vibrant and new city. It really is taking its place in the world stage, and it's going to be, and it is already, a fantastic place to visit. On site, it's taken about 3,000 professionals to build this exhibition space. Here I am just to give it a sense of scale. And working within the drum, that's me working on the legacy piece. With the lighting people and the crews and the sound effects, it really was beautiful. We had a sign made up in Arabic and English to go on the legacy piece itself. We also made the number 77 as if it was the core which is drilled out of the bedrock for the Emir to throw into the water to trigger the legacy piece from coming out of the water. would like to take this opportunity to thank Tim Elliott and James Lee from WRG for trusting Sculpture Studios to take on such a project. I know it's really important to them, and also I learned a lot, and it was really important to me. Thank you very much indeed, WRG.